Happy freaking hump day, November 5th, as we sit in what is decision time in the month of November on the gridirons, both on the college side and the pro side. We've got our first edition of the college football playoff rankings that we kind of touched on a little bit last night. We'll get into that a little bit more. We're going to puck around and find out tonight because it's Wednesday night, see what's going on the NHL slate, look at some games in the NFL this weekend. Does anybody want to step up and go, hey, gosh darn it, we're actually really good? Chiefs fans also in their feelings, as we found out in, on our social channels at Mike Arana Show. Apparently, because the game was 28-21 between the Bills and Chiefs this weekend, it does not classify as dominating both sides of the line of scrimmage. Like I said, sorry about it, not sorry about it. If you watch the game, the Bills manhandled the Chiefs at the line of scrimmage, like I said. But you don't have to listen to my friggin' words about it. You can listen to these guys. And we'll start in the middle, of course, with my main man, Vegas Mac. What is going on there? Looks like you're fresh off the driving range, but I know that's not true.
Yeah, here we go. I've got the complete Ricky Fowler outfit going on here tonight. So right there at Ricky Fowler. Yeah, ready to go and, cash in on a good 3 rounds and throw it away in the last.
It's something that means T is in the hizzy. Now, T does not look like he left the driving range or the Ricky Fowler lookalike contest. You, my friend, look like you just left your favorite local brew pub. And if you did, shout out to you and props. What's going on with you, my brother?
Not a sponsor of the show, but yes, I'm wearing a brewery hat today. And, look, I'm ready for Saturday.
States away.
No Big Red. I'm ready for Saturday.
Oh, what a treat you have in getting to see UCLA and Nebraska this weekend. Are they paying you to get into the game would be my first question. Second of all, what did you do to deserve such a punishment, it seems like, on Saturday?
Yeah, it's like, holy smokes, after watching what we saw on Sunday, or Saturday rather, it was just, TJ Lateef might be, I got nothing.
Mac, we talked about it yesterday at the end of the program because it was a Ticket Tuesday, and I did ask our friends. I actually only sent it to Herb. I should have sent it to Raj, too, because I know Raj would have looked it up. But I told Herb to check out the end of yesterday's show on a Ticket Tuesday, and he had a couple of things that he wanted me to pass along to you, Vegas Mac.
Okay.
Number one, he can't believe that you're picking against Alabama. Number two, he wanted me to remind you and our audience that when he does the whole changing of the clothes thing, it's not always just the pants is something he wanted to reiterate. I don't believe him, but here we are on a hump day, ironically.
Please tell me that has nothing to do with the butt play or any of the butt things that Mac has been talking about recently, because if so, then he might want to change his pants a little more often.
No, it's a superstition thing. Mac, do you have anything to add to this before this train really goes off the tracks here?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of threw out that, I was picking against Alabama. I didn't quite say that. I mean, I was leading people down a road. It doesn't mean that was the road I was taking. I mean, you can be a guide. I didn't tell you which fork in the road to take.
Okay. Well, surprising with the NFL trade deadline that just passed, the way you backpedaled right there, there's a couple of teams that really need guys playing cornerback that can backpedal like that. But as always, let's get under the depth of what we're doing here. If you're watching along, feel free to comment along. If I can grab the right one of the 4 mice on my desk that look the exact same, maybe we'll figure this out. And yes, Billy V, it's hump day, and usually the show gets a little out of control on hump day. I mean, anytime you bring tea back into the fold in the middle of the week, we got things to do and not sure how we're going to get to those places. By the way, guys, I was at the grocery store earlier today. I tried to see if this would play well to the camera. It doesn't play great, but this is back on shelves in a limited release. Hopefully you can see the flavor there.
Citrus cooler.
One of the greatest Gatorades of all time. Now it's repackaged in a 1987 limited edition bottle, plastic bottle, so not quite the same, but you get where we're at with this. Old school logo, and then it's a partnership thing to promote Stranger Things on Netflix, which I have never watched and likely never will. But did you know that you can still order Gatorade in the can and get like a full case of Gatorade in the cans delivered to you? And why did nobody inform me of this ahead of time?
I did not know that, but I will only drink it if it comes in the glass containers.
Bottle.
The glass bottles. I mean, you want to go old school. That's where we're going right there. The old glass bottles. That's what I want.
The glass bottle was legit. You knew that
Absolutely.
that was going to serve you right.
My thirst was going to be quenched, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The citrus cooler and tropical punch, I swear to God, the two goats of Gatorade flavors all time. Don't at me. Or go ahead and at me and argue with me. You're going to be wrong. 1987, so that was what, right around your 50th birthday, Mac, and that would have made you about 40, T?
Yeah.
Is that where we were at in 87?
You know, about that much. Yeah, about that much.
All right, after a lackluster day yesterday where obviously the biggest news in the NFL was the Indianapolis Colts and saying F them picks and acquiring Sauce Gardner. What does that do for the Colts? We'll get into that here in a little bit. Drew Brees is replacing it joins Fox NFL coverage to more than likely replace Mark Sanchez. And some of the guys that we have commentating now, it's really cool, T, to see them at this point. And like, these are the guys that we've watched over the past 20 years. And now these are the guys telling the story of the game. Like J.J. Watt is absolutely friggin' incredible on coverage. Like, it's cool to see these guys back in the booth. In the booth for the...
You know, and like, I'm one of those guys that thought Tony Romo was going to be terrible, and I actually think he's okay. But yeah, like J.J. Watt is freaking phenomenal. I'm excited for Drew Brees because these guys have more insight on like the game. They're not that far removed from the game as it is today. So they have more insight on what's going on now versus the guys that we had, say, in 20 years ago who were playing in the league 30 years prior to that. I mean, like what Drew Brees was just in the last 7 or 8 years is when he hung it up or something, maybe even sooner than that. So this is good. This is good for the game. I like this very much.
Mac, I'm a little surprised one of your guys never got into TV because I thought he would have been a shoo-in for the booth or in a studio show, and that was Big Ben. Like, we really haven't seen... He's doing a little podcast thing right now. Mm-hmm. He was the one that kind of shocked me that never got to a booth.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. I mean, you always got to look at the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks seem like they have, a pretty good, view because they're so involved in everything. I think Ben would be good. I love listening to his podcast. He's actually kind of a funny dude. On there, I would like to see more linemen in there, though. I mean, I think that would be fun to get a little bit of a different perspective. I mean, like J.J. Watt. I mean, he's a defensive lineman. I mean, he brings a different feel and look to it. But if you go back kind of like in the history of broadcasters, some of they weren't always the quarterbacks that were the best. Best color guys. I mean, I think I'd like to see some of these other positions get some people in there as well. It'd be kind of fun.
Are you thinking?
Yeah, and again, those of you that have been watching over the past couple of days, bear with us here. We know we got some connection issues. We're trying to work those out. Go ahead, T. Sorry.
I was going to say, Mac, are you thinking like a Joe Thomas type of guy or like, or somebody like I thought one of the best when I was watching football, in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I thought Todd Christensen was one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just because he had all of those, he played such a good tight end, and he could have a view from the line's position, a view from the receiver's position. And I thought he was great.
I think someone like Luke,
Kuechly.
Keekly, yeah, guy just drew a blank from BC, like somebody like that. I mean, he unfortunately had to kind of retire a little bit sooner than he wanted to. Still kind of young. I think he kind of bring that perspective from a defensive standpoint. I think something like that would be kind of good because like some of those guys. I mean, and you get it. If you watch some of the regional. Pre-game shows and post-game shows, a lot of times they'll have former players on there, and those are the fun ones to watch because I really think they do a good job. I know, like I listen to a lot of the Steelers stuff, and Steelers always have a lot of their older players that are on there, and they do a really good. And there's a couple of their linemen, older linemen, are on there, like Trey Essex and stuff. Like I mean, he gives a different perspective. From a lineman's perspective of how things are going. I think he's really good.
Yeah, and guys, it's interesting we're having this conversation. It's a great point that you bring up, T, because as many people know, this past weekend we lost Bob Trumpy, one of the voices of my really childhood. Good. And, you speak of Todd Christensen, and he was wearing those big old, like, starter NBC Sports parka jackets in the booth, and Don Crickey and guys like that really, like, started to form the soundtrack of why I wanted to get into this industry so bad. And obviously our thoughts out with the Trumpy family, because he was one of those guys, man. And it's like, I talked about being nostalgic with the NBA on NBC back and what that drove me back into in my childhood. NBC Sports in general was where it was at for me, Mac.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was kind of the be all get all if you wanted anything to do with sports. They always had the best announcers. I mean, for baseball, I mean, Vince Scully would do a lot of their baseball games. I mean, you go back and listen to like the World Series and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, they were always the cutting edge, and it's always been to me a little disappointing. I don't know that they've ever kind of gotten back to where they were at that one point. I mean, there's so many now, but yeah, I mean, NBC was the place that you wanted that you wanted to be if you wanted to be something to do with sports.
And hopefully here, T, part of that bringing NBC back, like Mac is talking about, because I know you've got the same kind of feelings, is hopefully the next thing we see is Sunday Night Baseball moves to NBC now that's kind of up in the air, because now you're talking on NBC, you got Sunday Night Hoops, Sunday Night Football, Sunday Night Baseball year-round on Sunday nights, and NBC has always been the benchmark in sports for me.
Yeah, I think that'd be a smart move by NBC to find a way to acquire that and make that part of their programming. I mean, and even in the like 4 or 5 week crossover where football and baseball are both playing at the same time, you have a multitude of networks that you can throw that on in the NBC Universal family.
Yeah, absolutely. Sticking in the NFL, guys, we've got some quarterback news, and C.J. Stroud is ruled out for Sunday's game against the Jaguars. Took a nasty concussion in last Sunday's game against the Broncos. And, T, you weren't here last night, so I'll give you a chance to kind of comment on this, because the story took another sideways turn from what Mac and I were talking about last night, with the Cardinals deciding to make the move after saying, nope, Kyler's our guy. Now Jacoby's going to play. Kyler's hurt, blah, blah, blah. Now Kyler's on IR. So we went from, had a chance, ramping back up. Cam Cox from 12 Sports out here in Phoenix posted something on X about just showing practice video of Murray throwing last week. And there's always teams that try and work out soft landings for guys, but considering that Murray can only come back now for the final 5 games of the season, I think the Kyler Murray experiment in Arizona is finally over. Since you didn't get a chance to throw your 2 cents in yesterday, have at it, T.
I would have asked what has taken so long, and it's unfortunate that it's going to be an injury that ultimately forces him out when he could have been forced out because of his mediocre play. I mean, I think we've said this before. This franchise will not be serious if they keep throwing Kyler Murray out there. He's just not dependable. He's not consistent. He doesn't win big games. And I'm not saying that Jacoby Brissett is necessarily the long-term answer, but I mean, we saw it on Monday night. We saw what that offense looked like against a decent Cowboys defense. We saw what they did. Brissett carved him up. He flat out carved him up. It should have been a bigger margin of victory. Unfortunately, it was whatever it was, 10 points. But yeah, but then you also have a case too, Mike and Mac, where the Cardinals are 3-5. Their chances of getting in the playoffs are very slim because you have to jump a multitude of teams to get there. So throw Brissett out there, see what he's got. If you plan on holding on to Murray because he's nearly untradeable, well, have him rehab and we'll see you in May and just see what you got now.
I think it was
Mac. Interesting that it took this turn. Well, I want to hear your thoughts, and I'm going to do this for the Kyler Murray era in Arizona. So don't mind me.
All right. What I was going to say is I think it was kind of a cop out by the Cardinals. I really do. I mean, there were reports that there was a possibility that he could be, the backup quarterback just this last week. Now all of a sudden he can't. And it's kind of like, is this kind of a Murray thing that he just said, well, basically, you don't want me to start, so I got this injury. Now I'm put me on IR because I don't want to do this. I don't want to be the backup. I mean, I think there's more to this than, just the injury. And I'm not calling him out on an injury, and I'm not saying anything along that line, but I just think that there's more to it than that. And T, I think you're right when you say that, like, they're not going to be serious until they do something with Murray. And it's kind of funny. I joked with Mike yesterday. I said, and I know this is your team, but I joked. He said the perfect spot for him is to be in Las Vegas because he can play for the Raiders, and then when he's done, he can go play for the A's. And it's funny. I saw 2 or 3 different tweets today of him in an A's uniform, and they're going, "Well, he's only 28 years old. He's not too young. I mean, too old." So it's just kind of funny. But I just think it was a cop out by the Cardinals.
Man, people are trying to give the Raiders Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray. Like, when are you going to give them somebody good?
I mean, I think we can say a couple of things here, guys. Number one, I don't think we're surprised that the Cardinals are in public eye very much fumbling something right now. And two, again, they were smart in the general, makeup of this contract because there was over $175 million in injury guarantees kind of littered through the contract here. But, T, I think you nailed it. And this is kind of the point of what Mac and I were talking about last night with it is you either have to get rid of your offensive coordinator and find one that can craft an offense that works with Kyler Murray, which there hasn't been that person in existence in his entire career. So you get rid of Drew Petzing, or you get rid of now what is an untradeable asset with this cap hit of $43 million.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a no-win situation. This was a guy picked first overall, too. So you have that stigma going. You have the fact that this team has won the same amount of playoff games with him at quarterback as any one of the three of us Jamokes. And, it's like, this is terrible. It's a bad situation. I feel sorry for the Cardinals, but I don't really feel sorry.
Yeah, I mean, in this contract, Mac, it goes all the way to 2028 where he'll be 31 with a club option. 2029 when he's 32 is when he would become a UFA. So, like, you're not getting out of this thing anytime fast. And it's an untradeable asset. So what are you doing here knowing that you don't have your quarterback of the future? And I hate to break this to people because I've heard Mac Jones's name come up a bunch of times today. Mac Jones has a 2-year contract with the 49ers. Mac Jones isn't going to your team next year. So, yes, that is kind of a theme in the NFL. We've talked about Sam Darnold. We've talked about Carson Wentz. We've seen Baker Mayfield. We've seen these guys, retread guys, and maybe that's the route you go. But who is there out there right now, Mac? There isn't anybody.
No, I mean, you're going to have to look at a team maybe like the Saints who may need somebody there. I mean, maybe the Jets, a team that's not, I mean, not only desperate, but that also makes bad decisions to take this bad decision off of the Cardinals. I think that's kind of the way it's going to go. But it's got to be somebody who's going to be who's desperate. I mean, like I said, the team that pops into my mind right off the bat was the Saints. I mean, they really have a problem at quarterback as well, and I mean, and so do the Jets. I mean, and like I said, they both are known for making bad deals. I think it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into some more NFL here a little bit later as we go forward. TJ doesn't know he's got a pop quiz that Mac had to endure last night.
Oh, man, you're in trouble, T.
And we're going to play a little higher by as it pertains to the NFL as well. So let's get into some hockey here and let's puck around a little bit. It's been an interesting start to the hockey season. I think we've seen a lot of surprises, good and bad. I think we've seen, kind of those early teams of like, hey, who's the Colts of the NHL this year? Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot of everything. And I think the biggest thing that I've taken out of the early part of the season in the NHL is how many rookies that we're seeing that are really, really coming out good. Obviously, Demidov and Schaefer get all the headlines, and they're your favorites for the Calder Trophy. But there's a lot of guys behind them. And T, I'll start with you because you referred to one of these guys on one of your two teams that you talked about today. There's a lot of young players having great starts of the year.
Dude, Beckett Seneca is. I thought that when the Ducks made that pick last year, I'm like, this is a joke of a pick. They took him third. And there was just all sorts of rum. Dude, this dude belongs. This dude is going to be part of this Ducks team for a long time. And here's the thing with these young players too. And I heard Ray Ferraro talking about this. But these kids have absolutely no memory at all. If they go out there and screw up a play, the coaches will go up to them and go, yeah, he screwed up. You probably don't want to do that anymore. And then they're right back out there.
Baby. Goldfish.
There's no pressure on them. And that's perfect for these young guys. They need to learn how to play the game. They can't be looking over their shoulder where they're like, and that's one of the things that we've seen before with teams is they'll put in a young player, but they won't let him grow. And the Ducks are doing a great job of letting these guys like Gauthier and Carlson and Seneca and Lacombe, letting them grow and letting them make mistakes. This Ducks team I'm very surprised at how well they're doing. And I know it's a small sample size, but the way that they play, I don't think they're going to go away.
No, I wouldn't think so either. And it's funny because when we got close to the Ducks and making their head coaching decision, I jumped on our X account at Mike Arana Show, and somebody had asked, who do you want to see coach the Ducks, or who's going to be the next coach of the Ducks? And I put up a picture of Joel Quenneville in there, and I got so many Ducks fans who were like, hell no, no way, no chance, that's not happening. Yeah, I bet you'll like it now. Mac, what's jumped out at you at the beginning of the hockey season here and kind of surprised you out of the gate?
I'm really shocked. I had to look at it twice when I was looking at the standings, and I'm like, are the Florida Panthers really in last place? I mean, we knew they had the injuries coming in, but I think to a person we're like, they're going to be all right. They're not going to be as bad as they are. I mean, 3-6-1 in their last 10. They're just. It's just not clicking for them. So I mean, to me, that's the first thing. That's just kind of a really big surprise. Like I just didn't expect that. Other than that, I think the other team that I kind of liked, and I said they could probably win the Metro was the Devils. I've watched them a couple of times already, and I know they had a little bit of trouble on the West Coast. They kind of got drilled a couple of times, but I really like the way the Devils play. I just think that they're going to be really good team this year. What happened, Mike? Give us that update.
Alex Ovechkin is on the score sheet for the night. That is number 900. Good, because I had a bet on him to score tonight, too, because it had been long enough. Remember we were joking about, shit, he could do this in the first game or two. But, right. When we talk about some of these interesting starts here, and you mentioned the Panthers being in last place, I think what's really fascinating when I look at the bottom of the East, it's the Rangers, Capitals, and Panthers in that order at the bottom. That's the thing when you look at this to me, that like all three of these teams are playing like absolute ass out of the gate, T.
Well, and I'm not surprised so much with the Rangers. I know they're trying to figure it out under Sullivan. This is a team that hasn't won at home this year, but they nails on the road. So maybe they just need to play 74 more road games. But I think I don't think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to figure it out. But they got a big decision to make with Panarin, because is Panarin in this for the long haul, or is he going to be one of those guys that they're going to ship off to try and get some more assets? The Capitals, I'm a little shocked at. The Panthers, I'm not, just because of the injuries, and I'm willing to give the Panthers a pass here, because of the injuries and because it's to their like Barkov and Kachuk and now Gadjevich is out. Like holy, like there's the injuries longer than a CVS receipt for the Panthers at this point.
Yeah, and Mac, it's kind of interesting as we look at some of these games for the week. Speaking of like the Caps, for example, they've got a game tomorrow against the Pens, and Pittsburgh's been a kind of a bright surprise here at the beginning of the year, tied for second in the East with Detroit, New Jersey, as you mentioned, Mac. But the Pens off to a good start, the Caps not. That's always a fun game when you got Caps and Pens. That's tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh, I'm not too surprised. I mean, I kind of figured one of two things was going to happen there. This was going to, with all these veterans and all these guys that have been playing together, they know this is, in essence, this might be the last season. We all know that. I mean, at some point, this is going to get broken up. So they're either going to go out and just have this absolutely, kind of like what Ovechkin in Washington did last year. I mean, I don't know about you, but like the whole year just felt like it was like this, not a farewell tour, but it kind of felt like something along that line with Ovechkin. And I think kind of the same with Pittsburgh. They're like, either we're going to figure this out and have one last really good run at it, or listen, here's what's going to happen. If we don't have a run at it, we're all going somewhere else by the end of this year. And so far, it looks as like they've gelled pretty good. So, good start for the Pens. So I'm not too surprised.
Yeah. Dan Muse is pressing the right buttons right now for the Pens. Yep. Their rookies are playing great, although Brazel just got injured, so he might be out for a minute. But, I mean, Sidney looks like he's freaking 28 again, which is awesome for hockey fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, when we look ahead to this weekend, I think the NHL has done a good thing, if you can find a good thing in their schedule. A lot of these Saturdays, especially early in the season here, are pretty loaded up, and we've got 3 games. When I looked at the schedule for Saturday, I'm like, oh, we're definitely going to have some hockey TV space in the studio here. You got the Bruins and the Leafs, you got the Avs and the Oilers, and you got the Mammoth, another team that you talked about today, T, against Mac's favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday. The Mammoth in action tonight with the Leafs tied at 2 at the end, just starting the third period. But the Mammoth have been another interesting thing. But I also agree with what you said. I don't know if Vejmelka's the guy that gets them all the way there, and their blue line's not great for what they've put out on the ice so far.
When they acquired Sean Dursey a couple of years ago, he was supposed to be one of the guys that stabilizes defense. He missed almost all of last year, and he's been out for most of this year so far. And look, Sergachev, that deal was fantastic, but I mean, you gotta put 6 of them on the ice, man. And Sergachev and or Dursey can't do it alone. No shade to John Marino. They lost a lot of physicality when they dealt Kesselring in the Peterka deal. So that's what was once a franchise point of strength has now seemingly become a point of weakness for Utah.
I just, it's hard for me to not have the memories that we have of what the Utah team actually was. And we all know we've seen this in this team before. They've gotten off to good starts, and then they just find a way to fizzle. And to me, it's kind of the same thing. Until I see them not go through the fizzle, I don't trust them. I love them when they were here in Arizona, but we've seen it time and time again. They have these really, really good runs, and then they usually back up a really good run with a really poor run. I mean, that's kind of the history of that franchise. So I hope they stay where they are, but we'll wait and see.
I'm going to play a little higher by with you guys tonight, NHL edition. I'm going to drop them in rando on the show because I'm feeling froggy here. So Macklin Celebrini of the Sharks, and speaking of good young players, especially out west, 18 points through 13 games, so he's slightly off the 100-point pace that he was on to start the season. Sharks in action a little bit later tonight. They take on the Kraken, off to a really good start up in Seattle. Over-under on that one, just in case you're wondering, is 6.5. I would suggest the over, because as TJ said, they play pond hockey, but higher by, guys, and I'll start with Mac, and then we'll go to TJ. Macklin Celebrini has a 100-point season for the Sharks, who might not be the worst team in the NHL this year, shockingly.
I think you're high. I don't think he's going to get to 100. I think that's too much to ask. Even as good as he is, that team's going to go through these long stretches where where it's going to be really difficult for them? I don't think so.
Can't take it anymore, man. Can't
Sorry,
take it anymore.
sorry.
What do you think? Higher buy, T?
I'm going to buy this. And the reason why I'm going to buy it is because of how much pond hockey they're playing right now. And I don't see that ending anytime soon. Look, we're all waiting for Askarov to get in there, but I mean, he's going to take time to marinate here and grow. And if he's going to continue to play with Smith, this is just going to be like unreal, right? Like this is fun to watch. I'm buying this.
Smith, Selly, and Toffoli are so much fun to watch, and if they can get a little bit better at the blue line, and I'll give Nedeljkovic this credit, when the guy stays in the general path of the crease, and I'll even give him 5 feet all the way around the crease, I'll give him a little extra space, some bonus space for more activities, he's pretty good. It's when he decides he wants to go all the way to the corner in the boards, and all of a sudden he can't freaking skate back to the damn net, that's where we have a problem. But I think Askarov, there was a lot of Sharks fans, and we talked about this, T. There was a lot of Sharks fans that expected him to kind of be the second coming of Patrick Waugh, and he's still a young kid. It's gonna take time to figure it out. It sucks watching Mackenzie Blackwood when he's healthy, like not with the Sharks, but it's the cost of doing business right now. You got to give them time.
100%. And, this team, I think I said last year they were 2 years away from being 2 years away. But this is accelerating due to the amazing work of Mike Greer. He is doing wonders in the front office. He's putting on a clinic of acquiring players and getting rid of them when he needs to. This team might be back sooner than we thought.
Yeah, and Mac, it's kind of interesting this weekend because we've talked about the slow start, and we'll finish up hockey here, but we talked about the slow start that the Oilers have had out of the gates, and it's ironic when you look at the wild card standings in the West. We know it's only 13, 14 games. It's early, but the Oilers sit one spot out of a playoff spot behind, ironically, the freaking LA Kings, and then we know on the flip side that Colorado looks like an absolute wagon right now. I'm really kind of excited to see this game, Mac, this early in the season with the Avs and the Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the fun ones that you want to see. Two teams back and forth, up and down the ice. This is a good. You want those early season kind of test to kind of see where you are. This is a good one for both teams. I was going to mention, who reminds me of in goal? Mike Smith. Remember Mike Smith?
Mm-hmm.
He was the same way. He never stayed in his damn crease.
Oh, were you talking to old Coyote Mike Smith?
Yeah.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
I yelled at him more.
T&I's season tickets were down in the corner at the end that the Coyotes attacked twice, so we would get that one period every night of Mike Smith, and I swear Mike Smith spent more time with me and T in the corner than he did in the crease.
Absolutely. I felt like that we were good friends.
Oh, yeah. The Fox Sports camera guy hated us, though, T. You remember that?
I do remember that. Interesting point, though, the Colorado Avalanche, the best losers in the NHL, they lead the league in loser points with 5. Right behind them, the Kraken, Kings, and Oilers, all with 4, as well as the Predators and Sabres.
That's always one of my favorite stats, the best loser team. Like, who has the most loser points? If you look at it every year, the names on it surprise you. Let's get into college football, guys. We saw the college football rankings come out yesterday, and I'm going to play some hypotheticals here before we get into these games with you, because Josh Pate, who is the man when it comes to college football coverage right now, he was able to acquire some hypotheticals on what we saw last night. So a hypothetical spread on the SEC championship game, assuming that it is Alabama and Texas A&M, would actually have Alabama favored by 1.5 over the Aggies. When we get into the first round matchups, this is where I think it gets really interesting. Memphis at Georgia, if that was to be the matchup, Georgia would be favored by 20.5 points, so 3 touchdowns. Oregon would be favored by a point on the road at Texas Tech. Ole Miss would be favored by 17 at home against Virginia. And this one I thought was a little interesting, probably the most interesting. Notre Dame would be 10-point favorites over BYU. And I know BYU and 10-point spreads is going to come up later in the show, but do any of those matchups really jump out at you now that we've had kind of 24 hours to soak this in? And we know that more than likely, all four of those matchups are going to be entirely different by the time we get there. Mac, do any of those kind of excite you as I'd like to see that game? Because remember last year, the first round was a little bit of a turd in the punch bowl.
Yeah, I still think that those first round games, it's going to be really, really hard for the visiting team to win when you're having to go on campus and everything else. I just think those are going to be really, really difficult. I mean, um, I would have a hard time betting against any of the away teams or thinking any of the away teams are going to have a really good chance of winning those games. I just, as I see it,
You don't think Oregon could beat Texas Tech?
I was just going to say, I guess I was going to say that would probably be the one that I could see it.
Okay.
But I mean, other than that, like, no offense, I can't see Memphis going into Georgia and winning that game. I can't see Virginia going into Ole Miss. And I can't really even see BYU going into Notre Dame. That might be the second one on the list. But I think that just in some sport in basketball, I don't think home court necessarily means as much. It doesn't mean as much in baseball, but I think in college football, I think that's a huge advantage.
I do. That's something I 100% agree with, T.
Give me the Mormons and the Catholics. I want to see that. I'll take it.
Somebody posted a thing this week on X. It was Mormons versus alcoholics. Like, you should see the amount of kids that are already camping out for game day at Texas Tech. Like, it's insanity. And speaking of Texas Tech and BYU, when we look at this, we kind of mentioned this a little bit last night too, and you look at the Big 12 standings right now, and last year we had that crazy kind of fight to the finish. This is right about the time when ASU really turned it on. We know they're on a bye week. We know Jeff Sims is their guy for the rest of the year. But when you look at the makeup of the standings here, you've got Texas Tech at 5-1, Cincinnati at 5-1, Houston at 4-2, Utah at 4-2, Arizona State at 4-2, TCU at 3-2. We could be setting up another situation here where I think anybody that's chasing BYU, with the exception of obviously Texas Tech, would benefit from BYU winning completely out, because that would hang another loss on Cincinnati. The team that would probably scare you the most in this mix, ironically, was the team I picked to win the Big 12 at the beginning of the year, who we've kind of like pushed off to the side, and now they're just beating the hell out of everybody again, and that's Utah. T, you've talked about this conference all year, and I know Mac has as well, so I'll go T to Mac here. We could be looking at a crazy finish in the Big 12, and I'm all for it.
I'm all for it, too. This conference, as I've called it all year, is the best conference that you're probably not watching. And if you've watched the Utah Utes the last couple of weeks, man, you called it. They are just beating the bejesus out of teams. And that Holy War game, although the final score was only, I think, 3-point difference, that was a brutal battle on both sides, and I loved watching it.
Wait a minute, hold on. So you're saying that a score can be very close, but one team could have manhandled the other team despite the score, right?
Yeah,
there's Chiefs fans that need to hear this, I think, the right way. So sorry. You may continue now.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to get on the Chiefs fans right now, but this Texas Tech game with BYU is going to be a huge matchup, and that's going to, I mean, we talk about, what if BYU wins out? What if Texas Tech wins this game? Now look at the logjam that's going to be created. And then instead of going to Provo, I don't know, the Tech, this is going to get nasty, but I love it.
Yeah, and the fact that, speaking of old Big 12 teams, Mac, like even Texas, remember last week we talked about, and I said, why the hell is Texas ranked? They're right on the outside. So, it's you've nailed it too, Mac. Go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, for me, I'm going to be all on Texas Tech this week, because I want to give BYU that loss, because I think that would really set up the next couple of weeks, because Cincinnati still has to play them. I think a Texas Tech win would be even better for the conference. That would give everybody at least one loss. That gives Texas Tech then the game in hand advantage over BYU too. So I'm all in on a Texas Tech win just to make it even more crazier.
Yeah, and
I'm
if you're
so-
watching along, feel free to comment along with wherever your team sits in the standings. Go ahead, T, and then we'll get into some of our game previews, which will kind of tie into a standings argument here in a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry. For some reason I thought that the better team hosted the Big 12 championship game. I forgot for a minute that it was at Jara World. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we can make an argument for putting that game back on campus. Because if you had to go to would you rather go to Provo and play BYU, or would you rather go to Texas Tech and play the Red Raiders?
That is something that I would love to see them change. You know, they're talking about maybe extending the on-campus games into the second round. I'd like to see the change be, hey, no more neutrals on these conference championship games. If we're going to play them, we're going to play them, you know, Georgia at Florida in the swamp. You know, we're going to play them on campus.
I think that makes sense for one big reason, Mike, is that with these conferences the way they are, as big as they are, it doesn't make sense to not give somebody who had a good conference record that advantage of being at home. I really think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, absolutely does. And we'll see how this thing, obviously, it's going to change a million times, as we've said. And speaking of conference and conference races to get to conference title games and ultimately get into the playoff, we'll start with an interesting one as Georgia goes on the road after knocking off Florida. Catch or no catch, you make the determination. It was a fucking catch. When you sit here and flip on the side of this now, right now we're set up for an Alabama Texas A&M SEC title game, which I think everybody would enjoy. It would be a fantastic matchup. Right behind them, Georgia at 5-1 in the conference, as is Ole Miss at 5-1 in the conference. And oh, by the way, Texas is 4-1 in the conference. So there's a kind of a crazy race here. And I think this is an interesting spot for Georgia coming off of the emotional high of the rivalry game against Florida last week. Now they've got to go to Stark Vegas, which despite 1-4 is not an easy place to play. Just ask Arizona State. I think Georgia's in an interesting spot because they're a team that we've seen all year. They did it again last week. They start first quarters slower than molasses. They start second or first halves slower than molasses. I think this is a danger spot here, Mac, with the Bulldogs going to Stark Vegas against the Bulldogs. I'm taking the Bulldogs in this one.
Same.
You know, it's one of those things. If we can count on, there's been so many things we can't count on in this football season, whether it be college or pro. But I think there's one thing we can count on, and that's the fact that Georgia's going to be in a close game. Seems like every game that they've played in is a close game. So that's why, you know, when I look at this, do I think Georgia's going to lose this game? No, I really don't. I don't think they're going to lose this game. But I also, it scares me to think, you know, giving up 9.5 points. I don't like that either. So I would take Mississippi State. I would take Mississippi State and the 9.5, just because this is kind of the DNA for Georgia. They like these close games.
Yeah, T, and it's interesting because there's a few places you can get this at 8.5. Most of them are still in the 9 or 9.5 range. But you know, you look up the game little capsule here and you know, the ticket price, the weather, where it's played, all that stuff. And you look at the leading passer, the leading rusher, and the leading receiver out of both teams combined. All three of the guys are offensive players for Mississippi State. And Blake Shapen has played quarterback in the SEC really good, and nobody really knows because we're talking about a 5-4 football team.
Oh, 100%. You know, when you look at this game, you're thinking Gunnar Stockton. That's a decent offense on the other side of the ball, and Georgia's going to find out about it early on Saturday.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mac. I definitely think that I'm more on the side of Mississippi State here because of how tough a place that is to play. They're coming off of the emotional high of beating Florida, and they know right what they have to do to get into that SEC title game. So I'm going to take Mississippi State with the 8.5 as well. Are you going to do the danger move, T, and be on the same play?
Yes, I'm going to do it. Give me the Bulldogs plus 9.5.
Our next one stays in the SEC, middle of the day, 1:30 on the West Coast from Columbia. Oh, yes, because Missouri has barely played any home games this year as they host Texas A&M. I know what we all feel about Texas A&M here. I know, Mac, you would love to see Texas A&M and Indiana in the national title game. I think Amon Hardy is going to get his a little bit on this A&M defense, which has been really good. This is another spot that I don't think is as tricky as Georgia's spot this week, but this is a tricky spot for Texas A&M now that they are where we thought they were going to be, towards the top.
Here's the thing that kind of flips this whole game for me, and it's the fact that Missouri is going to be starting a freshman quarterback. And I think that's a big thing for me. If this wasn't the case, I think this is a different game because Missouri's defense is so good. I think they could do some things to kind of slow Texas A&M down. But I think when you're having to go against a team like Texas A&M, that's just a complete team, and you're making you're putting a freshman in that spot. I think this is just going to be too much for Missouri. It would already have been kind of a little bit of a stretch for them, but with a freshman quarterback, I think this is not a good spot for Missouri to be in.
T.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I didn't think Zollers looked that bad for a freshman quarterback when he played against Vandy. So I think he got a little trial by fire there, which is good for him. And he's going to be at home, so he's got the crowd. He's going to have the crowd behind him. But I'm just worried about. I think the Texas A&M defense is a little bit better than the Vanderbilt defense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think when I look at the spread, because I do believe it's kind of a tricky spot for A&M here, I'm going to stay off of the side. I think the under 47.5 is kind of a sneaky good play here because both defenses are pretty damn good, and we know both offenses can explode, but I do think despite how good he looked, the freshman quarterback feel is a part of why I think this game could go under. Final word here is yours, Vegas Mac.
I like the Aggies in this one. I like the Aggies all the way, baby.
All right, let's go again, and it looks like we're picking on the SEC, but we are a little bit here because we're talking about the top of the second tier of the shuffle at the top of the rankings there. First game for LSU without Brian Kelly against Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and we've got a 10.5 point spread for the Tide here, over under at 50.5. And Ty Simpson, we talked about the way his schedule laid out for him, the 4-game run, and then they got a little break, and then they're on this 3-game run here, and now we're in a situation where I think this is the game that Ty Simpson, despite not having Brian Kelly, this is where Ty Simpson can absolutely go. The Heisman is my Meisman, or whatever you want to say. I was trying to be creative there, but I suck at that stuff. What up, Adam? Thanks for checking in.
That was pretty good. I'm not going to lie about that. So one of the things that I always look at is the new coach bump, and we've seen it at UCLA.
Yes.
We are probably not going to see it with LSU. I think this team has given up. I think they're done.
I saw you wheeling out the setup there. I'm going, where's he going to go with this one?
I think it'll be close for a little while, but I love watching Simpson play right now. He is a machine at quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised. You know what might be a really good play here, Mike, is the first half bet.
I agree with you a lot there.
I would be willing to take Alabama on the first half bet on this one.
Well, and I put it on my college Saturday that we do on Lunchtime Live on Thursdays, and the same thing. We saw the exact same thing last week. A game Florida team, no Billy Napier. They were ready to go. They made plays in the first quarter, and then the law averages Georgia was Georgia. So I think the first half bet is actually genius here. LSU, Bama. What do you think, Mac?
LSU is an absolute disaster. We know that. Listen, Alabama's got to fix a couple of things. They've got to fix their running game. If they're going to have any success in the postseason, they've got to fix their running game. And I think this is the week that they kind of do that. Here's what I'm telling you. I think Alabama's going to put a whipping on LSU. I think they're coming out and they're going to make a statement. So here we go, Herb.
Here,
look at this.
He goes with
here I am.
Oh.
Dynasty. Do you see that? Look at that. There's Bear right there. Dynasty, baby. Look at that. Alabama. Roll Tide.
I got to write this down because he was asking me if you liked your stuff the other day, and I
Oh,
forgot to
man.
tell him when we were talking
Look,
about it on the
I
show.
told you I
so-
had to find the right spot for it. This is the right spot for it, baby. They are
That's beauty.
going to demolish LSU. Roll Tide, roll Tide.
Yeah, Herb
believe
brought
that.
it's a double X. It's a double X tank top for me. Same shirt. T, you want to put your order in while we're at it?
I'm good right now. I'm not really a red guy.
And listen, I honestly think Alabama is going to try to make a statement in there. I think they really do.
Yeah,
I think Alabama's a statement game for them.
I do agree with T though. I think the new coach bump. I'm gonna probably play that first half with LSU. I think that's a really smart play. Before we get off college football here, guys, and obviously as you go through our channel, I'll have thoughts on BYU and Texas Tech. Saturday morning, Mac will have the Big Mac kickoff, which is Iowa and Oregon from Iowa City. And T after dark has Notre Dame and Navy, another sneaky good game this week on the docket here. So I'm going to give you 3 games, and I want you guys to tell me who you think is in most danger of being upset. And I will give you the rankings as well. I expect you guys to memorize them. Indiana, number 2, at Penn State. Other game, you've got number 9, Oregon at number 20, Iowa. And then you've also got number 14, Virginia, hosting Sleep Forest. Is there one of those 3 games, I'll start with T and go to Mac. Is there one of those 3 games you think one of those top-seeded teams needs to be on upset alert in?
I think it's Iowa. I think Iowa has the most potential of those 3 to pull the upset there. We always talk crap about Iowa's offense, and it's been dreadful for sure. But this team is putting up points now. And if this team with this type of defense is starting to put – yes, I know it's Oregon that's coming into town. But if you have a team like Iowa that gets confidence in putting up points with that defense, if I'm Oregon, I'm thinking twice before I mark this in the win column here.
Mac, which one of the 3 do you think should be on upset alert the most?
If I had to pick one, I would say it would be Virginia because their last couple of games have been fairly close. They're getting the wins. Wake Forest isn't. I mean, they're not great, but I mean they went and they beat SMU, and we saw what SMU did to Miami. So I think that could be the one. It could be good old Wake Forest.
Are you saying that Wake Forest is now the best team in the ACC?
Oh, I'm not saying they're the best team, but
I don't think the ACC knows who the best team in the
Wake
ACC
Forest
is. That's the
beats
problem.
this guy, SMU, is ipso facto.
All right.
Yeah.
Mac had to do this last night, T, so now you have to
Good
pop
luck.
quiz hot shot. I'm going to give you 3 names, and you have to tell me if they're actual college basketball players, as we're now underway. And upset alert, Arizona beat Florida to hand the Gators their first loss of the season. Thank you, FS1 picker on opening night, for telling me that one.
Upset special, baby.
I'm going to give you 3 basketball players that are either fictitious or absolutely basketball players. You tell me which one is which. We will start yours with Legend Smiley.
Legend Smiley.
Smiley.
That sounds real to me.
That is true. Legend Smiley is a Don from the University of San Francisco. All right, number 2, Chandler Bing. Chandler Bing.
Pivot.
Although he sounds like somebody who'd be related to the great Dave Bing, I'm going to say that's false.
That is actually indeed true. He is a hooper for Vanderbilt, and heads, like, total props to him. The head thing on his bio page says, "I have never watched an episode of Friends."
Good for him.
I'll tell you, I want to go watch a Vandy game just to yell pivot the entire game.
Especially on that goofy ass floor that has the benches all like behind the baskets and shit.
10 feet. Yeah.
Is the next one Chuck Bailey?
No,
Oh.
but I also posed the question last night and asked Mac if we had an over-under on the matter of time that it would take some dumbass reporter after a game to go, were Ross and Rachel actually on a break? because you know some dumbass reporter will do it just for the clout.
Yep.
All right, final one. We are going to go with Tennessee Rainwater. Tennessee Rainwater.
Rainwater. I'm going to say yes. That sounds too good to be true. That is true.
He is a hooper at Lemoyne. I'll give you one bonus one. I gave this one to Mac last night, so it's only fair to give it to you too. Spud Webb. I don't know if there's a relation. I didn't do that much homework.
Ooh.
Yes, Spud.
Since the dog says so, I'm going to say yes.
Spud Webb is in fact a hooper for Georgia Southern, so we might have to revisit the all-name team list. It'll show me if you guys are actually watching college basketball or not. Let's move on to the NFL this weekend, where we've got the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the history of the National Football League on full display in Germany, as the Atlanta Falcons bring one of their personalities to Germany to take on the Colts, who now look at what is, as we mentioned yesterday, one of the 5th hardest schedules down the stretch. See, we got the minions in the groups. This is an interesting game here because we await the debut, obviously, of Sauce Gardner for the Colts. The Colts, as we mentioned yesterday, one of the easier schedules to start the year. They go into Pittsburgh. They turn the ball over 6 times. It looks like the pumpkin midnight. Indiana Jones is back to Danny Dimes. I'm really interested to see what the hell we get in this game out of both of these teams, T, because I have no idea what we're going to see out of either one of these teams.
Dude, the people in Germany are like, why do you forsake us by sending this crap?
There's a lot of jokes to that, but I'm going to keep them to myself.
I have no idea what to make of the Falcons. I bit into that. You liked that junk a couple weeks ago, and I got sewered on that. And then Drizzy London gets 3 touchdowns this past weekend. It's like, holy smokes. The Colts are the real deal. Mac deserves all the credit here. They are for realsies.
Oh God.
And the Falcons, I'm sure that the next thing that I'm going to see on social media is people trying to give Kirk Cousins to the Raiders, because that's just how it's going to work.
No, I'm going to call it now. Kirk Cousins to the Arizona Cardinals next year.
I love the Colts this week.
Mac, what do you think of this one? I know, again, you can parade around on your victory lap here because as you almost made me choke to death in our NFL preview show, you were all over.
I mean, the Colts, just ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw last week. It was just the perfect storm. The only thing and I said this last night, the only thing that scares me about this game for Indy is they're coming off a game in which they didn't play really well in Pittsburgh, and then they have to go to Germany, and it's out of their routine. And that's the only thing that I worry about is that, after a bad game, you kind of like to have a little more familiar feel, kind of getting ready for this game, and having to travel to a different country is just that I don't think it's going to make a difference. I mean, these games are always ugly. Let's just be honest. They're never good. And that's another thing that kind of scares me, because it kind of falls right into Atlanta, because Atlanta's ugly right now. But I think Indy should win this one, but I think it's ugly. We're going to get some sort of weird, 16-12 kind of game.
Those are hurtful words to Atlanta. Ugly?
Well, have you watched them?
Multiple personality reminds me. Here it's funny you bring that up. And I advised on Monday Night Football that getting in bed with the Dallas Cowboys involved risks, and obviously we saw how that worked out for me. I'm going to also say getting in bed with the Atlanta Falcons involves risk. But Indy, after they leave Germany, comes back to the States to play at Kansas City. So maybe they could be looking ahead a little bit. I don't think that would be the case. But at 6.5 points, I'm going to take Atlanta in this one. Mac, what do you got?
I gotta think the Colts are going to play better than they did last week. I think the Colts got this one.
I pissed off the one Cowboy family now. it's true. T, what do you got in this one?
Colts. Easily Colts.
You suckers. All right, we'll go to the host site of this year's Super Bowl, Santa Clara, for another huge battle where the 49ers and Rams will tangle with each other for the second time this year. Maybe Brock Purdy, maybe not Brock Purdy. I still think it's going to be Mac Jones. And Mac Jones looked really damn good on T's birthday when he beat the Rams in Los Angeles. And he looked like he literally walked off the set of The Walking Wounded at the end of the game. But, Mac gave the Niners flowers last night, T, because they just continue to find ways to win. And I don't think anybody would be shocked that the plus money underdog 49ers at home pull this off.
I wouldn't be surprised in the least. And let's give credit where credit is due here to the 49ers for going in, signing Mac Jones, just as that guy who we don't know if we're going to need him, but we might need him. And he's played outstanding for the 49ers. I don't think you can say anything else about him. He's been great. Now the Rams have been kind of on a heater. The chemistry between Stafford and Adams right now, especially when Nakua is so kind of in and out of the lineup, that chemistry it looks really good right now. This is going to be a fantastic game, man. This is probably the one must watch. And I'm not really one to watch the Rams because but I'm going to be watching this one.
Kyle Shanahan is Sean McVay's daddy, Mac. Do you have anything to add to that before we make picks on this one?
Yeah, I want to see. I want a camera. I want the camera on McVay and then on Salah. Like I want to see that matchup. I want to see what it is every play. I want to see what they're doing, what their expressions are. I think that would be kind of a fun box in a box in this game because it's the offensive guru versus the defensive guru. I think that would be a lot of fun.
In the box, my brain just went somewhere else, and T knows where it went.
Man, if you
Justin Timberlake, anybody?
I'm done.
Nope. We were gonna go with Dick in the Box for 500. I do, and again, you can call me biased or whatever. The fact that the 49ers are in the position that they're in with everything that they've been dealing with in a defense that right now they don't have anybody that's really stepped up to be the new identity of the defense with no Bosa and no Warner. I think that guy for them is Malik Mustafa, but he just got back into the lineup. And this team, again, every time you think that they don't have it, let's look at what they lost this year. I mean, the game they lose to Jacksonville, they turn the ball over 4 damn times. The game they lose to Houston, they basically don't touch the ball for the entire first half. So, we're kind of almost easily looking at a team that's 8-1 right now, despite everything. That's the crazy thing. Niners on the money line is plus money dogs at home. That's what I got, Mac. What do you got?
Yeah, it does scare me a little bit in this one. I just worry, I know we talked about the injuries and the 49ers don't care. The Rams offense has been really good. I can definitely see a place where the Rams can get this one. But listen, the 49ers have been really, really great in their division. They're undefeated. So if you're going to give me the 49ers and you're going to give me some points in this game, because I think it's going to be it's like a close game, like a 27-20, something around in there. I got to have the Niners in points.
T, what do you got?
6 of the last 10 matchups head-to-head have gone over, but only 2 of the last 4 in San Francisco have gone over. I'm taking the under in this game.
Whoa. When T takes an under, it's serious. Final game of the weekend in the NFL for us that we're going to focus on, at least right now. Patriots and Bucks, a game that's not getting the attention for as good as it's going to be. A fantastic matchup at quarterback with Drake May and Baker Mayfield. We know, the issues that the Bucks have been dealing with this year. The Patriots look like an absolute wagon. They're really good on the road. I think this game's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. First thoughts, Mac. Patriots and Bucks.
Yeah, again, the Patriots, they went up to Buffalo and had no problem with the Bills there. I love the direction that I love the direction that the Patriots are going from all aspects. I think this is a different game if Baker has all of his players. I think this is a different game, and I think because of some of the injuries in there, I'm leaning towards the good old Pats.
Oh, somebody's sleeping on the couch tonight. What do you got, T?
I'm sorry, dude. I saw that the Patriots were 8-2, and I had to rub my eyes a bunch of times and go, "What the hell am I reading here?" Because
A lot of people on that same thought.
It has been, and they've just lulled me to sleep, and they're 8-2, and I'm just like, whoa, did they not nail the right hire for this team? Did they absolutely crushed it, and they deserve all the credit. But I am a huge Baker Mayfield guy, and the cardiac Bucks are going to pull it off. I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Before we pull a Chandler Bing from Vanderbilt University here, Hooper, by the way, an actual Hooper, I wanted to ask you guys this question because I looked at this today. I saw somebody said it on X, and we expected big things out of the Commanders. Obviously, we saw the absolutely horrific injury to Jaden Daniels on Sunday Night Football, and he's got that dislocated elbow. But the Commanders last year really took advantage of playing a schedule full of not great quarterbacks and not great teams. Are the New England Patriots right now last year's Washington Commanders? Mac, yes or no?
No, I don't think so. I mean, listen, they should have beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, they lost that game with a lot of turnovers. I mean, in their first game of the season, they lost to the Raiders. You can kind of just chalk that up to being new. I mean, honestly, this team could be undefeated at this point. I really, truly believe that. No, they're not. This is a good football team. You don't go into Buffalo and win in Buffalo and not be a good football team. Bottom line. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it. I was going to say, and they're doing it impressively. I mean, they Carolina, they destroyed Carolina. They destroyed Tennessee. They destroyed Cleveland. The teams that suck, they're beating the teams that really suck.
Okay, but their next three, so they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. They've got Baker Mayfield this week. I know it's the team game, but they've got Baker Mayfield this week. Then you have whoever the hell the Jets are going to throw out there, whether it's Fields or Mike White or Joe Namath or Kenny O'Brien.
Jets and Browns this weekend, baby.
And then they've got Flacco, and then they've got Jackson Dart, who is a young, exciting, and inconsistent quarterback. So
I think that's a fair assessment.
So I mean, take it for what it's worth, but they're not exactly going against the Elways, Montanas, and Youngs of the league.
Fair. Check this out. Speaking of hypothetical situations, and we've just talked about Baker Mayfield. Hypothetically, this comes from Josh Klein on X. A hypothetical 8-6 Panthers team, which is a very good possibility, having to face a gauntlet of its former QBs the last 3 weeks of the season in order to make the playoffs is some real Scott Pilgrim versus the world shit, is what he said. Those last 3 games, if the Panthers are 8-6, at home against Baker Mayfield, at home against Sam Darnold, and at Baker Mayfield's house. That's how the Panthers would have to get into the playoffs. And they say the NFL schedule makers don't have a sense of freaking humor. The Panthers team is kind of weird. They're kind of a pain in the ass.
I'm going to give a shout out to our buddy Sal up in Reno. That's his team, and he has been ride or die with the Panthers for as long as I can remember. And this guy's the happiest he's been in years. So I hope for his sake that they do get to 8-6, but that would be a tough task.
Oh, yeah. It would be an absolutely brutal task. You know, Mac, we joked about this last night. Final NFL note before Liquid Locks here, and then we'll get up on out of here. The Jets. I cannot wait for the next 2 NFL drafts because of the Jets. 2026, they have 2 firsts and 2 seconds. 2027, they have 3 firsts. Like, I cannot wait to see with that kind of haul over the next 2 drafts, Mac, how the Jets screw this up, because it'll be its own documentary.
Yeah, there's some guys in college that are hoping their NIL money kicks in a little bit more so they don't have to worry about that.
They don't want to take a pay cut to go to the Jets.
No,
especially if you play quarterback right now at any of those schools.
They're like, I think I got 1 more year of eligibility.
Jaden Mayava entering his 11th season at USC. Why, Jaden? Because the Jets still suck. That's why. All right, more stuff to come. Lunchtime. Yeah, lunchtime live on Thursday and Friday. Okay. You can give us live updates, Cody. That'd be great. I don't know what game you're talking about going. I'm pretty sure it's whoever the Giants are playing. Or the Colts, maybe, because he is a Danny Dimes guy. But I can't wait to see how they screw that shit up. Like, it's mind-blowing right now. Like, the quarterback class this year, I think we would all agree. The guys that were supposed to be at the top of it, Cade Klubnik, freaking Drew Aller. This quarterback class is not a good quarterback class. The quarterback class the year after that, you're talking about guys like who are impressive right now, like Trinidad Chambliss and some of these other guys up and coming. That quarterback class after that might be really exciting, but the quarterback class this year, I'm good. I'll pass. Give me a retread. Find me at Jacoby Brissett. Liquid Locks time on this Wednesday here. Our favorite looks ahead to the weekend. I'll start with mine. 2 teams and 2 games we've talked about actually already. I do like the under in that Texas A&M Mizzou game. I also like the Aggies to cover, and I took it at 7. It's down to 6.5 now. I think Texas A&M is going to stomp one in Missouri this weekend. And I'm also taking the 49ers on the money line. Put those two together, plus 397. I think this 49ers team just continues to find ways to win. And if you go to 4-0 in this division, and keep in mind, they already went to Seattle and manhandled the Seahawks and Sam Darnold. They only have 3 road trips, as Mac and I talked about last night. Arizona, Indy, and Cleveland. That's it. So this team that's getting players back is going to play a lot of games at home on top of that. So those are my 2. T, as always, you can go second in this spot, and I know you've got one that I love, and as soon as you put it on the sheet, I bet it myself. So thank you for reminding me.
Well, if I'm going to bet your money, I'll do whatever I have to do. I love BYU plus 10.5 at Texas Tech. I'm not saying that they're going to win necessarily, but I love this line. I just love the way that BYU plays. And I'm expecting them to come out and I'm expecting them to keep it close with Texas Tech. I also had the Bucks. We talked about them earlier, but my pro liquid lock, I have decided to take the Chargers and the Steelers, good old Surfer Boy and Old Man River, over 44.5 at the house that Kroenke built that Spanos rents.
That was the most descriptive liquid lock of all time.
Is that the over? Is that the number of field goals the Steelers are going to kick? 44.5?
That is.
I thought it was Aaron Rodgers' age when he retires from football.
Jeez.
I mean, we're right there. So, Mac, I love your 2 that you submitted here, and in your spirit from Ticket Tuesday,
yes,
I'm trying to match up one of your games right now. Oh, that's right. Neither one of them are in the top 25. That's why I couldn't find them. Why don't you give us your liquid lock part 2, and it's got a theme.
It does have a theme. I'm on a theme thing. It's not an official sponsored event by Hoover, but it is 2 bowl games. It's an NFL game it could be sponsored by Hoover. It's, the We Suck Bowl #1 in the NFL. It's the Jets and the Browns. I'm going to take the Jets plus the 2.5 to not suck as much as the Browns. And then we have the college version of the Hoover We Suck It Bowl. That's Florida State 2.5 over Clemson. The We Suck It Bowl this weekend.
It couldn't just be the We Suck Bowl. It has to be the We Suck It Bowl.
Yes, we suck it.
You know what's funny? In the Browns-Jets game, the total on that is 38.5. And that's not even the lowest in the NFL this weekend. The Jaguars and Texans are now at 37.5.
Yeah, they're honorable mention.
Oh, God. 37.5? Mm-hmm. Oh, Davis Mills and Waffle House Jesus. That'll do it.
Oh,
all right. So to fit Max Liquid Locks there, $41 to get into the Jets Browns We Suck It Bowl. And it would be $47 to get into the Florida State Clemson We Suck It Bowl. Speaking of 2 coaches that might be on the unemployment line at the end of the season. All right, guys, that puts a wrap on tonight. Any final words? We'll start from the right side with T.
The Leafs wound up beating the Mammoth 5-3, but all I could think of is when the Leafs go back, does Matias Michelli get a video?
Speaking of the we suck it postseason, there's the Toronto Maple Leafs making an appearance. Mac, any final words out of you tonight? I don't know if anything you say can top the Hoover we suck it bowl.
We'll be getting T-shirts here done momentarily on that, and we'll just go to the shop. No, hey, listen, I'm excited. Friday night state football tournament action. So gonna go to a game on Friday night for high school, and trying to win a state championship.
Get them, boys.
See, I meant to ask you: have the fireworks stopped in the 909 around you?
It's funny that you mentioned that because some moron lit some off last night. So I think he didn't get parade tickets. And so he, it's always good times in the
There was plenty of space available at the parade, man. I mean, it was on Monday. So by Monday, all the Dodgers fans were wearing their cowboy stuff, getting ready to watch Monday Night Football. So there was plenty of space at the parade. For everybody behind the scenes, that's a good place to exit stage right. For TJ, for Vegas, Mac, I'm Mike. Lunchtime Live tomorrow and Friday. You know the drill.